There should never be a case where somebody's coming into this country who has a negative view about America, about the West, about our civilization. Children will be taught to love America. Children will be taught to be patriots. Children will be taught civic values. Millions of American hearts swelled with overflowing pride today to watch President Trump put Zelensky in his place. The most stylish president and first lady in our lifetimes are Donald Trump and Melania Trump. Donald Trump's a style icon. There's no human being in the history of politics who has made themselves more available to the press and the public than President Trump, or who has demonstrated more stamina in public life.
That last one was pretty funny. I have to give it to Stephen Miller there. But no, jokes aside, he's a very strange little man. He's a weirdo. We all have different theories as to where his life went wrong. Brett, for a long time, has been of the mind that he had a crush on a Mexican American girl in high school or something, and she turned him down, and that just set him off on this dark road to fascism. I think that makes as much sense as any explanation. But regardless of what the origin story is, he's a dark, strange person. That's what he is. He hates America, he hates its values, and he wants to deport as many people as possible. What's interesting, though, is that it's easy for a lefty like me to despise him. Rolling Stone did this deep dive into him. Turns out a lot of Republicans despise him too. And look, Rolling Stone did him the favor of making him look more like an actual human there than he does in real life. But what they found out was pretty interesting. Apparently they have all of these nicknames for him, like the real Attorney General, President Miller. I only say that one because if that gets around Donald Trump, because his feelings could really be hurt by that. So do you hear that, Don? They're calling him President Miller. But anyway, so he's been around for a while. And evidently when he worked as a communications aide in the office of Alabama Senator Jeff Sessions, he was so widely disliked by his conservative colleagues on Capitol Hill that Republican staff in other offices would invent or spread malicious rumors about Miller, such as that he liked to play with porcelain dolls. The staffers at the time never dreamed he'd ever amount to much more than a punchline or an obscure cautionary tale of what happens when you read far too many far-right hate websites and dive into Washington's most feverish swamps, which is really an indictment of the Republican Party that they couldn't see this coming, that they didn't realize how dark their movement and their party could become, that a person like him, a person that even they hate and disrespect, could eventually rise to the levels that he has. I do want to just fact check there, just because they've made up all these theories, JR, about him and made up all these stories, that doesn't mean that all of it is untrue. It's still entirely possible that secretly he has a closet filled with creepy little porcelain dolls that he likes to play with. So let's not rule out all of this. But anyway, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess the Republican Party underestimated their extreme cowardice, because this is just like with everything else. When Donald Trump first came in, they talked trash about him too. They said, he's French, he's crazy. Man, look at this dummy, he's like some kind of failed businessman. Then suddenly when he gained some kind of racist-based power, they were all on board. Their cowardice knows no bounds. They hated Stephen Miller apparently and made up all these rumors about him, but now they kiss his egghead ass for some reason. Pinky and the Brains run around here and now they're watching him like, yo man, you're the smartest guy ever. Can't believe that you can run the country with your fascism. Man, it's not even that they're all in their hearts fascists. They just have so little principles they're willing to bounce from fascism to anything else, that as long as someone is popular enough with our racist country, as long as they've got some popularity and they make some money and gain some more power and control over people, they are all on board. They probably shouldn't want this type of stuff to get out, because it's much more of an indictment on them than it is on the guy who's committed to his hate.
100%, totally. That said, as we end, I just want to, I referenced Brett's theory about Stephen Miller. It sort of turns out to have a grain of truth in it in this Rolling Stone reporting. So they say, as a teenager in Santa Monica, California, it's never going to stop being weird to me that he's from Santa Monica. Miller craved nothing more than triggering the good-looking kids in school who wanted nothing to do with him for obvious reasons. He's a creep. Jason Islis, who first met Miller at Lincoln Middle School in Santa Monica, says he and Miller and a third friend were a tight-knit band of outsiders who spent middle school doing preteen boy stuff, like talking about Star Trek. Islis remembered Miller as a big Captain Kirk fan, which is very ironic if you know anything about Star Trek, but whatever. He thought of himself as a hero guy, I guess, Steve Miller. That all changed, though, in the summer of 1999, between 8th and 9th grades, when Islis says Miller informed him they couldn't be friends anymore. Quote, one of the things he did say was that he didn't like the fact that I'm of Latin heritage, which is, it's a weird enough thing to think, especially growing up in LA. It is such a stranger thing to say. And he's not like a second grader. This is between middle, like ending grade school and high school. You're a teenager at that point. And he told another boy, yeah, I don't like that you're Latin origin or whatever. That is so strange. So strange. And again, we don't know exactly why. I think being turned down by a woman is the most likely outcome for a guy like this, who clearly has nursed these grievances against women his entire life. But regardless, he was ruined at that young of an age, that he was so driven specifically by identity-based racial grievances. It's exactly what we suspected.